Me 1 minute to share my screen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the first time that you log into ERPAG, this is the first thing that you will see. So this is the home page with all of the various widgets and options. You can of course customize the home page by either removing the existing widgets from the home page, or by going to the widgets option and adding new ones and changing the existing ones to have the ones that are most important for workflow, and so you can have an easy reference. If you need to see any options, you don't have to open the modules and everything, but you can just click it on the home screen and start from there. Also, on the right hand side, you have the news button. So the news is actually the Twitter account from our development team. Every time that they either make a new feature or implement a new option, they post about it on the Twitter
Mm-hmm.
account. So all of the customers have basically the information at the same time. And this is something that is not additionally charged. So when you see an option that is useful for you, you will also have it in your database and you can take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, when it comes to the support, you have this book a call option here. So you can book a call with our agents, have a shared screen session or a phone call, or basically hit the chat button. It's in the downside of the screen, and you can always chat with our agents, ask us questions. You can turn back to us when you hit a hard spot, or if you need any help. So you will see, even during the trial period, if you decide to test out the system, that our team is very responsive.
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, I have one more question for you. So when it comes to the raw materials and the finished goods, are you maybe tracking serial or lot numbers?
Yes, we are like batch numbers and
Okay,
packaging
so
data, etc. Yeah.
lot numbers. Okay, so when you take a look at our modules here, the all of the modules that you see go with each one of our licenses. So whether it's the basic, standard, or premium license, the functionality of the system is mostly the same. The main difference is the number of users working within the system and the database size. Which usually goes together, because if you have a large business, you have a lot of employees, and therefore you need a bigger license. If not, then you also have a smaller database. So those are the differences. So every functionality that I will show you now is the functionality that you will get if you decide to purchase any of the licenses. And also everything that I will be talking about, we have materials such as our blog with instructions and our instructions manual with step-by-step instructions with the screenshots and everything that explain the full process and all of the options in the system.
Mm-hmm.
When you open each module in ERPAG, you have the black fields that are the active documents, and you have the white fields that are the reports that can be uh, basically generated based on the active documents in that module. So now, if you agree,
Mm-hmm.
I will also show you one of the lists. You have the sales order list, for example. This goes for all of our lists: sales orders, purchase orders, inventory, basically anything. The lists are very report oriented. They are color coded. You can always change the information on the list by simply going to more columns and choosing which columns will show up on the screen and which ones will not. Also, you have a filter, so you can always use double, triple filters to filter through the list and make some kind of custom reports. You can see everything in form of a chart. You also can group and subgroup using the information existing on the list and choose various widgets. And also you can make a view that's suitable for you and save it here and go back to it whenever you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I will start from basically adding some raw materials and then creating a finished item. And we can then move through the pre-sale stages, sales orders, basically purchasing the raw material and manufacturing process, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Okay.
have any questions, please stop me, ask me. If you need me to go faster or slower, please let me know and I will adjust.
Sure.
Okay, let me just see how creative I was with the descriptions, whether, okay, this is something that I already have. Okay, so we would go to add new. So this is the products and services list. When you click on add new, you can add various products. The one that has a little cube next to it, that is your raw material. Actually, that is the item that you are purchasing from your supplier. So all of the items that are supplier based are have a small cube drawing next to them. Also, you said that the item was tracked by a lot number. So the lot number
Mm-hmm.
can be either increment, it can be according to the date, or it can be manual entry. So
Okay.
let's say in this case that it's manual entry. Uh, Also the fulfillment, so it will say supplier here. If it's something that you're purchasing from your supplier, you will just choose a supplier name from your database, add the purchase price. If you have any landing cost, you can add it here as well. That goes for the supplier SKU, for the shipping days, if any. Let's just add one to see how that works. You have minimum order quantity and the step quantity. If you, for example, have a supplier that is always giving you a discount if you purchase 10 pieces, you can use minimum order quantity, and then every purchase order you make will always be for example, 10 pieces. But of course, it's also retypable on the document level.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that if you want to maintain your stock levels, then you can always add a minimum stock quantity for any location. So in ERPAG, you can have multiple locations, and there is no limit, and there are no additional charges for that. So you can
Okay.
basically add the minimum stock quantity, and then you will always know, okay, I need to buy 10 more because currently I'm below my stock minimum, and basically I need to maintain my stock levels. So let's say that we will put 10 pieces in retail, and you will see how that will trigger the back ordering option.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's save this one, and let's create one more raw material. Oops.
So in terms of raw material and products, they are not very different, like, or is there a way to differentiate or switch it off from coming up in the invoices?
Yes, of course. So you have here the search scope. So you will just check the basically places
Mm-hmm.
where you want to see the raw material. So you can,
Got
for
it.
example, leave it only in the input items and output items on the work order, and they will, and the purchase order, of course, and then they will not appear on the sales order or in the point of sale in your retail stores.
Got it.
Okay, so we will also switch the lot number here to manual entry. We already have our, let's say that this item, for example, has multiple suppliers. So you might have more than one supplier for one and the same
Mm-hmm.
item. And in that case, you will have a multiple supplier back ordering option. And let's choose a few suppliers here. Let's add a purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, all of the additional information you might need. And now let's save this one. So now that we have our two raw materials, let's see how we can build a finished product. So I'm keeping now the production simple because it would be easier to see the process, but of course you can branch out the bill of materials as far as it's necessary for you. So there is no too complicated production for ERPAG. We can handle basically everything.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, we are actually choosing adding a bill of materials. So this means that you're adding actually something that you're manufacturing in your own facility. So let's say in this case, we'll call it finished material,
Mm-hmm.
1 plus 2. And let's say that this is tracked by lot number as well. So now when you choose the product to be backwarded as bill of materials, you will get this additional bill of materials section. So this is basically the place where you will add the blueprint for manufacturing this item. So you can add a component or a subcomponent. If you add a component, that means that is something that you're actually purchasing from your supplier. If you add a subcomponent, that means that it's something that you are actually manufacturing in your own facilities. So you can
Mm-hmm.
have multiple levels added to the bill of materials.
Got it.
Also, the work operations. So these are all of the processes that are basically a part of the manufacturing process. And of course, for these work operations, you can add them in the manufacturing module, and for each one you can add a cost per hour. So now let's say that we need 2 pieces of the component number 2, and let's say that the assembling lasts for 2 hours while the reporting lasts for 1 hour. So we will get this estimated amount here, and based on that estimated amount, the system will give you the estimated cost. So
Okay,
in
and
this, yes,
costs, basically just a quick question. So the cost of, let's say, RM1, which is showing here 20.
yes.
So is this, where is this cost coming from? Is it in, does it include the landing, the shipping, and all those kind of costs?
Yes,
Or
yes. If you
okay,
add the landing cost, it will be included in the basically price of the material as
from the
well.
purchase order of, and
Exactly.
so this is the bill of material which we are creating, but
Yes.
does it also incorporate the batch numbers, or I think that will be in the production,
Yes,
right?
yes, you're completely right. So the batch numbers will appear once we go into the production. So this is
Got it.
just like a recipe on the item level, and this is the
Right.
estimated cost. In the production, you will get the actual cost, and you will include all of the additional information.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's save this one, and of course you can just create a work order straight from the product. You can create a work order from the work order list, but let's go through the pre-sales process and then through the selling process and trigger the back order. So we will start from the quotation. So the first step is to add, of course, the pre-sale stages that you're using, and those pre-sale stages will appear in the quotation. So as the pre-sale stages, we have lead, promising, qualified, etc., and we color coded them like this. So you can do that according to your workflow. You have your own pre-sale stages. You can adjust everything, but this is how we have it in our test database. This is how the quotation list looks like. So you have the opportunity stage that is actually connected to the forecast, and you also have the status of the document. So we will start from here, and we will create a quotation for one of our customers. Let's say that our customer wants to purchase our finished material 1+2. If you have any additional descriptions, you can add them here. Also, the price of the item, let's say for this customer, is $120. This is actually the price, but I was testing out something for one of the previous users, so I renamed it. If you're not comfortable with any of the building language in the system, you can rename all fields to suit your own workflow. And that is the same for the document, so you can rename everything. So this is how the quotation looks like. Of course, you can adjust all of the templates in ERPAG. You can have multiple templates for one and the same document, and you can print them out from the system, download them, email them directly from the system. When it comes to the emailing process, you once you email the document, you will get the status sent here, and once the customer opens the document, you will see that he has read your email. Also, the
Okay, great.
emails, yeah, that is a very good one. So you know when you need to follow up with them.
Yeah.
And also you are emailing the documents from your own emails. So you have here in the administration mail accounts. You can add the mail accounts from which you want to email documents, and you will choose them from the drop down menu when you click on the mail to option. So this is how it looks like. This is where you will actually choose from which email you are emailing the document. The system will also offer you the customer emails. You can retype the subject. You can type in the message here, or you can make a default message that will appear every time that you are sending a document. And you can choose which template you are sending if you have multiple templates. So it's completely adjustable. So now let's say that we've moved through all of these opportunity stages and we are close than one. This means we have reached an agreement with the customer. Oops, sorry, wrong quotation. We have reached an agreement with the customer, and basically it's time that we create this, sales order for the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you need to do when you move from the quotation to the sales order is to click on the copy to new option and select a sales order. So this will copy all of the information from the quotation to the sales order, the customer information, the item, the price that you negotiated, basically everything. And in this moment, actually, when you click on the save, the system does an automatic comparison to stock, and it will compare what you do have in stock with the demand from the customer, and it's telling us that we have no quantity, which is true. We haven't produced this one yet.
Oh.
So yeah, there are two ways you can go about this one. You can either go to the manufacturing fulfillment and see here the list of all of the items that you need to manufacture. So here is our finished material. So you can see it from here. That is one way. The other way would be going straight from the sales order. So you can click on the generate button and you can create either a work order or a manufacturing project. So the work order is used when you have a simple single level production. The manufacturing project is if you have multiple levels or more complex production. So you can use that one. From the manufacturing project, of course, you actually create work orders also, but multiple work orders. This will be one simple single work order. So let's see how the manufacturing project looks like. So once I click on the manufacturing project and generate it, I will get the sales order number here. On the sales order document, I will get the manufacturing project numbers, so you can always connect those two. And here is where you will actually have a tree view for your production process. So you will see all of the raw materials that go into it, all of the work operations, all of the finished items, and you will have everything divided here, so you will know exactly what is your work operation cost, what is your raw material cost. You will basically know everything. So from here, we will launch the manufacturing project, and as soon as we do that, the system will create a work order for the item. So once we create the work order, again, the system does an automatic comparison to stock, and it will tell you whether you have the sufficient raw materials or not. In this case, the system is telling us that we don't have the raw materials, so we don't have RM1 and RM2. So what you do in this case is that you and of course you have the manufacturing project here, number. So what you do in this moment is that you go to the purchasing, fulfillment, and here you see the list of all of the materials that need to be purchased so you can continue with the production process. Of course, you will also see the shipping dates from the supplier, and you will see what is the expected date for the material to arrive. So I've added here 3 shipping days for my RM2 RM1 to arrive, and I can see that it will arrive on the 6th of February if I order it today. So
okay.
now we have RM1 and RM2, and if you have only one supplier, then you will have only one supplier name. If you have multiple suppliers, you will have a magnifying glass next to the supplier name, so you can choose from which supplier you will order the items. And it will also give you the prices and the shipping dates, so you know what is the best deal for you. In this case, the best deal for us is to stick with Bicycle Habitat, because then we order both materials from only one supplier and we create only one purchase order. So the purchase orders can be created directly from the list by using the bulk action. And now once we've done that, we are going to the purchasing module. So here is our purchase orders. If you have the notifications on, and you can have them on for each one of the modules, you will see all of the changes that happened when it comes to this particular module. So that is one, maybe one very good feature for you as well. So in this case, let's check. This is our, yes, so this is our purchase order. You asked me about the landing cost. So here is where you can add the landing cost from the item. You can either be charged by the supplier or by the third party. And whichever you choose, when you enter the landing cost, it will actually increase the price of your items. So as you can see, the purchase price is now changed.
Okay. So
Landing
can we add
costs.
multiple types of costs as well, like freight costs, customs, or other kind of duties?
Yes, we do have that option, so you can manage that in ERPAG as well. Okay, So we save this one. We now can see the stock amount. Every time that you see the info button next to the item that you are processing, you can always click on it and you can see why you are ordering it. So we can see that we are ordering it for the work order number 46. And now is the moment when we are actually receiving it. When you click on the receive button, this is the moment where you are placing the items to stock, and this is the moment where you are actually adding the lot number. So we are choosing the lot number. Let's say that we will do it quick add. We will not choose the one from the list, but we will go to the quick add. The lot number 56 is okay, and the expiration date, let's say that it's not February, but it's March 25th. And save this one. And it's the same for the other item. And now we can post the document and receive them. Okay. And now that the items are received, we can go back to our manufacturing work order, and we see that we have available quantity for our project, so we can start the production process. Are you looking at maybe assigning work operations to your employees?
Not like, yeah, kind of, it'll be like, actually, yes.
Well, yes. So if you want to do that one, you can always add the employee's name here. So you can choose which one is working on the assembling, which one is working on the reporting, and then that time can be tracked by 3 different ways. You can just type, you can just type in the realized time. That would be one way. You can always go to manufacturing timesheets and you can track the time from here. So if you have a supervisor on the floor, he can start and stop the stopwatch when, for example, the work operation is starts and finishes, or you can use the mobile app for that. So when you take a look at the mobile app or the tablet, you have the timesheets here as well, and you will always be able to see which ones are in process and which ones you can start and count against them.
Great.
So when you, for example, complete the work operation, whether it's on the timesheets or it's on the mobile app, that will be automatically logged into the work order. So when you go back to the work order, you can see that I've been working for 1 minute. And now here is where actually the difference between the actual cost and the estimated cost comes into place, because, for example, I was supposed to work for 1 hour, but I was working for 1 minute. And then my work operation doesn't cost $10. Now it costs 20 cents. So then you have to pay attention to the stock price here. So the stock price can either be manual entry, estimated cost, or actual cost. If you choose these two, then you will see the estimation that actually you see on the item level when you're entering the blueprint for the item. So you will always have the estimation. You will not follow up what is exactly happening in the production, but you will have the purchase price for the raw materials, you will have the costs for your work operations, and then it doesn't matter how long your employees work, whether you loaded the entire material or not, it will always take the estimate that you see on the item level. But if you choose the actual cost, then your stock price will show what actually happened in the production process. So now let's save this one and we will see how that will reflect. When you are clicking on the load material, the load material is actually when you are loading the items into the work order and you no longer have them in stock. So I use them in the production process and my stock levels are now lower. The next thing you are supposed to do is to deliver the finished goods. In the moment where you're delivering the finished goods, that is actually the moment when you are placing the finished item to stock. And now let's select a lot number for our finished good. Let's say it's March 25, and let's save this one. And now post the document. Okay, and our work order is completed. So now, as you can see, we have the estimated cost, we have the actual cost, so it's showing us the difference. And the next step would be just going to our manufacturing project, and we can complete our manufacturing project. saved, completed. And the last step in the process, going to the sales order. Now the system is telling us that we have available quantity, which means we can pack it, ship it, invoice it. This is where you will actually choose in the packing side of things. You will choose the lot numbers that you want to pack. You can ship it to the supplier, you can invoice it, and you can, as I said, email it from the system, etc., etc. Now that we've done that, let's just see one more thing. So of course you need to follow up with the lot numbers. You need to know how they work. So you can do that in two ways. The first way will be just opening the item and going to the reports and stock card report. So the stock card will show you all of the ins and outs of the product. It will show you the customer's name, the document numbers, and here in the serial lot numbers you will see the lot number in question. So that is one way you can see this. The other way would be if you want child to parent and parent to child report, you would go to the inventory, lot numbers, and you will just open the lot number that you want to follow up. So for example, this is our raw material lot number, and we can see the parent to child. We purchased it from this supplier on this date and time. This is the purchase order number, and then child to parent, we used it in this work order, and then we can see that we sold the finished item to this particular customer on this date and time.
Okay. Okay.
So that would be the lot number traceability side of things. So do you have any questions for me so far?
Not so far, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I have some question. I don't know if
Yes.
I'm audible. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. So at the time, you showed at one point that how we create a purchase order and then how the purchase order translates to something that we receive.
Yes.
Right. So let's say, when those costs that we were adding, the ones relating to, let's say, customs or any other landing costs, most of those costs are not available at the time of making the purchase order. And at the time of making the purchase order, all we know is that, okay, this is the price or this is the cost at which we are buying. But when it actually comes in, that's the time when there are certain adjustments that need to be made. For instance, these costs that are the landing costs. And number two, sometimes what you would have ordered might not be exactly what you get, especially because we are a health and beauty company. We have oils, and so for example, you order 1 liter but you get 1.1 liter because sometimes suppliers add a little bit extra, or sometimes because of density differences, etc. It could be different from what you ordered. So how can we make those adjustments at the time of receiving, so that my cost per unit is correct in the system?
Well, that is a perfect workflow for us, because when you're sending out the purchase order, that is the moment when you are actually just providing the purchase order to your supplier. And as you can see, I've created this purchase order on 28th of January. So it has been a few days, and I here have the price and I have the basically quantity here. But in the as long as you don't receive the items, you can adjust the landing cost, you can change it, you can add it, you can change the purchase price, or you can just change the quantity and that will change the purchase price. So basically you can make any changes that are necessary for you until you receive the item.
I see. So what you do is you don't make adjustments, you actually change the purchase order itself before you kind of receive it.
Exactly.
Okay. Understood. Okay, fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so there is also one other thing that I thought of mentioning, that is that when you go to the sales orders and you mentioned CRM, of course you have all of your customer profiles here. So this is the list of all of your customers. When you open each one of the customers, you can see all of the information connected to that specific customer. You can see their ship to addresses, their phones, their categories. But even more important than that, you can always go to the reports and you can see the financial ledgers for that customer. You can see the invoices report, the open items report, the sales report. So you can see basically your workflow with this customer completely through these reports. Also, you have here the snippets that will show you to which customer you owe, for example, to deliver the items, and which customer owes you some money. So for example, if I open each one of the customers, I can see their balance here, and I can see how much they are in debt. Also, the other thing is that you can define different terms of payment for your suppliers and for your customers and add them. And you can also have different price tiers. So for example, if you're selling to distributors, or if you have any kind of elite club customers, or the customers that are purchasing more, they can have a more favorable price. And of course, you can divide them by categories as well. And then to different categories, you can add different price tiers in terms of payment. So that is a very good perk to manage your customer list and your supplier
For
list.
each customer, can we also see the list of quotations which we provided to them?
Yes, by going to the sales quotation, you can basically, let me see, where is my customer name? Okay, so I have a customer name here, and let's say that I want to see all of the quotations that I provided for Bob's Bike
Got
Shop.
it.
Yeah, I will just click on Find Bob, and I will have the list of all of the quotations that are provided to him.
Got
And of course, yeah, this list can be downloaded in PDF, printed out, emailed. You can always see it in form of a chart. So that might be useful for you as well, and move on from there.
Got it.
Okay. So we have about 4 minutes left for our meeting. Do you have any final questions for me?
Yes, actually, a few. So what about the integrations? Like, can we integrate
Oh,
this to
yes.
FBA, FBA,
Of,
Shopify, etc.?
Yes, so of course we do have an integration with Shopify, so you can basically add it through the sales web shops. This is something that can be tested out on the trial basis, so you can add either a test Shopify account or a real account here into ERPAG, and you can pull all of the products from the Shopify. You can pull all of the orders. Every time that you pull an order to the sales order list, you have a tag field here that will be populated with the order number from Shopify, and everything will be triggered the same as in the workflow that we went through. So you will see whether you have the quantity or not, whether you have to go into the manufacturing or not, and of course the payment status from the Shopify will be logged into ERPAG as well. So yeah, it will be automatically noted, and you can also choose whether you will exchange information about the product, whether you will exchange the information about the quantity, and whether you will exchange the information about the price. I will send you the information about how in detail, basically how the integration works and how you can manage it. And you can even test it out if you decide to open a trial. So from our website, you can open a 15-day free trial, no credit card required, and you can always count on our support through the process. And basically feel free to ask us questions anytime, to hit us on chat by email or by booking a call. So that is available on the trial period for you as well. When it comes to the B2B portal, we do have it, so we offer it, and all of your customers can have it, and you can basically just go to the customer portal and add them here, and they will be able to log in. So the customer portal gives you a web shop view of all of your items, and whenever they place an order through the customer portal, it will be automatically logged on the sales order list here, and the customer will be able to of course, if you allow it, they will be able to see all of the sales order lists, everything that they ordered, and all their previous history with your companies, for example, the financial ledger.
And what about Amazon integration, like FBA specifically?
All of the Amazon integrations go through the Shopify, so we don't have a direct integration with them.
Go through Shopify, as in, sorry, I did not get you.
Yes, yes, they go through the Shopify because you can download the Amazon orders to the Shopify, and then from Shopify you can pull them into ERPAG.
I see, but I'm not sure if we can do that for FBA because FBA works on its own inventory.
I can ask the development team about that, whether that is possible. But if you have the possibility to export the orders from them, you can always import them here. Import data and then just copy paste the columns. Of course, they will appear on the sales order list, and all of the workflow will be applicable.
Okay, got it. And in terms of accounting, like does it integrate with Xero or QuickBooks or any of
With
those kind of
both.
softwares?
With both, yes.
Okay.
And apart
Okay.
from integration with them, I believe there is an accounting module within ERPAG as well, which I can see on the left.
Yes,
And
yes, of course, but note that it's mostly meant for internal accounting because it's a basic accounting module. So it's a double entry, and we have